You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Hostess Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go. When the Iron Lady sings it, that makes it official, as they say in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. So welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. As always, remember, you are an integral part to the Chris Voss Show family, the podcast family, the family that loves you but doesn't judge you. At least not as harshly as your mother-in-law, because she never liked you anyway. I mean, have you seen yourself? I mean, come on. I don't know. Mother-in-laws are hard. For 15 years, we've been bringing you the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, the governors, the Congress members, U.S. ambassadors, astronauts, Pulitzer Prize winners, and authors, the most brilliant minds of the planet that share with you their journeys, their stories, their lessons of life that they learned, sometimes over a whole lifetime. And they bring you that compressed, condensed version right to you. It's kind of like, since it's almost Thanksgiving next week, it's kind of like that compressed cranberry jam in the can. I don't know what that means. Anyway, guys, help people join the elite crowd of people that bask in the Chris Voss Show glow. Invite them to go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, the big 130,000 LinkedIn group, the big LinkedIn newsletter, and Chris Voss 1 at TikTok, and Chris Voss, Facebook.com. We have amazing gentlemen on the show. Fernando Diez joins us today. He's a Galapagos Islands gentleman who is a proud Ecuadorian. He's dedicated his adult life to sharing the unique beauty and rare wildlife of his enchanting adventurous travel site to help people go from all over the globe and everything that they take and do. And I think I didn't get his title. Fernando, what's your title there?
I'm the director of marketing at Quasar, and I'm also second generation. It's a family-owned company started by my parents.
There you go, a Quasar Expeditions. And he's been doing this for a while. He's the proud son of the founders and a high-end expedition cruising company, Quasar Expeditions, that pioneered a small group travel in the Galapagos Islands 37 years ago. His parents dreamt to show the precious ecosystem to the world, ensuring its preservation for future generations through responsible tourism. And behind his role, he is a loving father of 3, a proud husband, and man of many passions. He is a skilled photographer, avid scuba diver, and high altitude climber, and overall, just a lover of nature and outdoors. Welcome to the show, Fernando. How are you?
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well today.
There you go. And give us your .coms. How can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, the easiest is just go to our website. So Quasar, Quasar, EX.com, QuasarEX.com.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you guys do there and how you do it.
Yeah, so Quasar pioneered high-end yacht cruising in the one-of-a-kind Galapagos Islands 37 years ago. It was actually started by my 2 parents with, as you mentioned before, the dream of showing this gem of the world to people from pretty much all corners of the planet who had an interest on nature, wildlife, and the outdoors. Back in the days when they started, it was impossible to actually explore this archipelago. There was no electricity. There was only one flight out to the islands, but it was their dream to do that. And it was very difficult back then. It's a lot easier now. But for the last 37 years, we've been showing this place to, people interested in seeing what the Galapagos Islands have to offer.
There you go. And so you guys create a safari style luxury adventure and tour in South America?
Exactly. So we don't really refer to ourselves as a Galapagos cruise company, even though essentially, yes, it is cruises that we're offering. Mm-hmm. But we call these safari style yacht adventures because it's very different from your regular definition of a cruise. As a matter of fact, we sometimes tell people that these are cruises for people who hate cruising. And essentially what we offer is this safari style concept where, just like an African safari, it's an intimate group of individuals exploring these national parks, going out to see the wildlife each day and really immersing themselves in that intimate setting and just watching nature go, do its thing from a safe setting with the leadership of a great guide. And so that's what we do, but on board ships.
Mm-hmm. And you've got several different things you do here. You've got the Galapagos cruises, the Grace Yacht, the Evolution Yacht, different things people can do, the Patagonia safaris, where you can go to different places. The pictures on your website are extraordinary, just incredibly beautiful. And then you guys have an Instagram account as well that you guys put stuff on, as well as your Twitter. How do people engage with working with you guys? How do they onboard? It looks like on your website they can contact a specialist. How can they learn more about what they can do there? And do you work with travel agents as well?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So we work with travel agents and, B2C direct. So if anybody wants to get in touch with us, all they have to do is, there's numbers on our website, live chat. You can schedule a call with our team. But the best way to really go about this is really to talk to an expert. These are remote destinations that it's not like going to, Expedia or another booking engine and just, booking a trip. It's not like the hotel and then I'll figure out the tour on my own. These are more complicated trips with a lot of moving parts. And so you got to coordinate the flights properly, get your expectations right, pack, properly, know what you're going to do every day. And of course, you'll be in a remote location. So it's important that you make sure that in terms of like health and safety, it all aligns with, what you want, whether you're traveling with a spouse or partner or with family or whoever it is. So yeah, that's the best way to go about it. But it always starts with just a deep desire or interest to see the destinations that we have. We rarely get people, coming up to us and saying, oh, well, I've never heard of Patagonia. Tell me a little bit. No. Or the same thing with Galapagos. They've heard of the place and they've sort of heard about us, or they found us on the web and just they want to know how we do Galapagos, how we do Patagonia. And then obviously we determine if we're a right fit for them or if they're a right fit for us. And that's how the magic happens and, how we're able to get the reviews that we get.
There you go. Why is the Galapagos the best place to see in the world and seeing wildlife, and what makes it so special?
Yeah. So often people refer to wildlife in the Galapagos as being different from everywhere else in the world. But the reality is that wildlife in Galapagos is today as it once was, maybe hundreds or thousands of years ago before humans invaded, their habitat, before we started hunting them or killing them or driving off to other places. And so the islands, because they're 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, isolated in the Pacific, they were untouched by humans for a long, long time. And so humans, the animals there never learned to fear us. And literally, it's prohibited by the Galapagos National Park, but you could literally touch every single animal. The birds don't fly away. The sea lions, they come up to you, the iguanas, the penguins, the sea turtles. There isn't one animal there that is afraid of humans. And it's magical because we're used to the opposite, right?
So it looks beautiful. I'm looking through your Instagram and everything else. It looks like there's just an extraordinary amount of variation. Like there's beautiful vistas. There's mountain peaks that are just unlike any mountains I've seen anywhere. Beautiful beaches, beautiful bays, just a variety of stuff, and everything just looks so pristine.
Yeah. And that applies, to both Galapagos and Patagonia. These places are absolutely beautiful, whether it's the wildlife or the landscapes. Patagonia has something very unique that the extremes of the planet have. Places like Alaska, the poles, Greenland, Iceland. There's a lot of dramatic landscape. in this part of the world. And that's really what Patagonia is about when it comes to the landscapes. And then Galapagos, the fact that these islands are volcanic, and that millions of years have eroded the islands in very different shapes and forms, it also gives way to some spectacular landscapes. There are some islands where you literally feel like you're in the moon, walking the moon. So yeah, definitely the landscape is varied.
Yeah, there's even a picture I see on your Instagram that shows it looks like a meteor hit it or something. It looks like a huge divot in the land.
Exactly. Those are craters that, the Galapagos, it's a volcanic hotspot. So it's covered in craters. Some of them, are dormant volcanoes. So the craters are flooded. There are lakes or there are animals living in there, or they're covered in vegetation. And then others, the last eruption was only a couple of years ago. So others are completely covered in solidified lava with no vegetation because they erupted, just a couple of years ago.
There you go. And it looks like the yachts and stuff are, they're not these big giant things that you go on with Carnival cruises and all that, that good stuff. And you're just like living in a small city. They look very personable, very intimate, and they look like something where you can actually enjoy yourself, and you don't have a bunch of screaming people running around you. Maybe.
Yeah. So in Galapagos, the largest ship size is just 100 passengers.
Oh, really?
Yes. But Quasar, our largest ship is only 32 passengers. And while for most people, maybe their idea of cruising a 100 passenger ship may seem intimate, in a place like Galapagos that is very fragile and the visitor sites are small, 100 people can be the equivalent of 1,000 or 2,000 people on the big ships. You can quickly overcrowd a visitor site on the larger ships, which is why since the very, very beginning, since 1986, we've always offered intimate adventures, small groups. And this is why, Travel+Leisure, we've been fortunate enough to be voted the #1 intimate cruise company for the last 6 years, because that's the type of travel that is necessary to really immerse yourself and discover the best of the Galapagos. It has to be in a small ship.
Yeah, I would have a hard time enjoying a cruise with a bunch of screaming kids running around, and it would just take away from it. And I think it's more intimate. Yeah, Travel+Leisure has you guys 2023 World's Best Awards. Just the pictures. If people in this don't believe it, go see the pictures on Instagram for you guys' account on Quasar EX. It is extraordinary to look at, and the variety of stuff. Like it's so insane how much variety there is. You can see everything and anything. Now, do you guys have certain hotels or setups that you use? People visit in. What's the stay like when it comes to lodging?
Yeah. So, in the Galapagos, even though there are hotels, we are a cruising company, precisely because that is the best way to explore the Galapagos. So even though you can stay in a hotel, and often our guests do stay in a hotel pre or post cruise as a way to maybe enjoy the port towns or the islands. But if you really want to see evolution at work and you want to see the best of Galapagos, you need to take a cruise, because the islands are actually far removed from one another. And so while, you're navigating each night to a different island and you wake up in a different place. Otherwise, if you stay in a hotel, you have to take these day tours from the hotel to a handful of visitor sites that are close to port. The ones that are far removed, which have been far removed since the beginning of time, to the inhabited areas. Humans, of course, never had so much access to those points. So at least in my opinion, the islands that are farthest from the central islands where people actually live, they are the most interesting ones. And it's worth noting that in Galapagos, only 3% of the entire archipelago is inhabited, and 97% is part of the Galapagos National Park, where you can only disembark at certain times of the day, and you have to be back on board by certain times of the day. So the animals rule the world in that 97% of the Galapagos, and that's where we do all our expeditions. It's really where guests in their kingdom.
There you go, and I imagine that contributes to sustainability of this, and it keeps things pristine, where you don't have humans just running all over things, destroying ecology and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So as Ecuadorians, we're very proud of the way the Galapagos National Park was set up from the very beginning, from the late 50s. They've done an excellent job of properly managing, the demand, the growing demand that has always existed for, tourism to the Galapagos. And so you have this cap basically of how many people can visit the Galapagos per year. And that's why, that's one reason why the Galapagos is an expensive destination. There's more demand than there actually is supply. But at the same time, it's the reason why the islands are still, they're pristine. And it just, we want to keep it that way for sure.
Most definitely. Now, it says here you guys have 8 to 15-day type cruises available, private charters, family cruises, photography cruises, so themed basically cruises, honeymoon cruises, those must be nice, autism dedicated cruise. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So we offer all types of departures. We believe that Galapagos should be for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're a family, you'll probably want to travel during the summer when there are more families on board. If you want to avoid kids, definitely recommend traveling between September and November. You can also charter our yachts privately. That's also one of the nice things about the size of our boats. Most people don't have 100 friends or 100 family members to charter a 100 passenger ship, but 18 or 32 with an extended family is a possibility. So actually our ships get chartered a lot by groups of family, of friends, or VIP clients that want to have, the entire ship for themselves.
And probably a great wedding cruise, right? Maybe, or honeymoon cruise, as you say.
Yeah.
But probably a great wedding cruise. I mean, does anybody have weddings down there? It sounds like a dumb question.
Yeah. No, they do. Yeah. You get to have the guests with you for the entire week. As you said, we offer 8-day and 15-day cruises. So the weddings, they normally happen either in the middle of the cruise or at the beginning, and then you get to spend time with the guests. But our captains, they're all ordained to be able to marry. And there are actually some photos there on Instagram of weddings that we've had aboard the ship.
Wow.
And yeah.
If I got married, I can't afford to get married because the divorce I'm still saving up for the divorce. But that looks like a beautiful place to get married in. I mean, it really does. It looks extraordinary.
It certainly is.
If you wanted a place that's memorable. Now, I've got several friends that are either autistic or they have children that are autistic. I love this concept of the unique cruise dedicated to children with special needs. Tell us how that works.
Yeah, so that was a dedicated departure. There was a family that came with us several years ago, and they were surprised how the proximity of the wildlife changed their child over the course of the week. And you've heard, right, of equine therapy, where horses are used to treat kids with autism. Somehow the Galapagos wildlife did that for this child, and so together with an special needs expert, we designed this cruise. She is the tour leader of the cruise, and it's only for families who have children with autism. So everybody on board gets you. Nobody there is judging anybody if the kid, just happens to have one of these difficult moments. We dedicated a departure for these families because you deserve a place like the Galapagos. And the truth is, many of these families never actually dared to go on these trips because they were afraid of what perhaps others would think if their child had a difficult moment. So this departure was specific to them, and it was a real success.
There you go. Kind of a safe place for them.
Yeah.
And stuff, because sometimes I know with some of my autism friends and their kids, sometimes if they get too much stimuli or there's too much noise or too much going on, it can kind of overwhelm them. And but what a great, beautiful place to get them to experience, open up, and all that good stuff. I could see, like I say, I could see this would be a great place to get married. I imagine people can maybe reach out to you guys for custom things. Maybe it might be a good business adventure for an outing or retreat for your company.
Yeah, we've done a bunch of things over the years, Chris. Definitely, we've had teams of like upper management get there, strategize maybe in the morning, and then in the afternoon, just enjoy the islands. It's a great way to have a company retreat if you want to just have people relaxing. Families that don't really get to see each other, that they're spread out all over the U.S. or all over the world, getting together for 1 week aboard a ship is definitely special. Photography departures, we have a special professional photographer leading the departure. So these are like active workshops. The photographer is helping you with the photos every evening. And the great thing about Galapagos is that you don't need to be a professional photographer to get amazing photos just because the animals are so close. Even like iPhones get amazing stuff. Yeah, all types of departures. And, people reach out to us every week requesting customized itineraries or adventures, and we're happy to listen and customize for it.
There you go. You guys have won Travel and Leisure's World Best Awards. I think, let's see here, 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
There you go. I flunked second grade, so that is 6.
It is. It's those awards are a combination of the voting of our guests, reviews, plus a panel of judges. It's not a popularity contest like many of these travel awards are, where it's just a number of votes and you can vote many times a day. Here, they accept one vote, per email from somebody who traveled with you. They have to leave a review. And, I think it's a testament to the type of experiences that we deliver that people want to pay us back. Even though they paid us for these trips, they feel like there needs to be some retribution, and they need to like fill out, reviews and just rave about their experiences. And we're really happy that they do this. And it's thanks to them that we've won that award for 6 years.
Yeah, I'm looking at the photos and they're just extraordinary. As a photographer, I want to go there. If you go here, man, and you have a bad time, man, you maybe you check your eyesight. It's a feast for the eyes. It's probably a great way to describe it. And it's such a diverse thing. Now, do people have to fly into Ecuador and then take a special plane out to you guys, or how does it travel work?
Exactly. So there are no international flights out to the Galapagos Islands. The islands belong to the country of Ecuador, so you have to fly in to the cities of Quito or Guayaquil. They're the two cities with international airports. And then from there, Quasar takes care of you. We book your domestic flights out to the islands. Everybody on our cruises flies the same flight. So to make sure we just coordinate the logistics. So we help you with that. All you need to do is get yourself to Quito and Guayaquil, and then Quasar can take care of everything else for you. These are very hassle-free trips, for sure.
There you go. World's Greatest Places 2023 by the Times Magazine. Chilean and Argentine wineries are the world's best vineyards 2023 that you can visit with Quasar. Just extraordinary stuff. They even have deserts there.
Yeah, this is in the northern part of Chile. It has the Atacama Desert, the driest desert in the world.
Wow.
It is. That is literally like, I believe one of the James Bond movies where it was shot there. These are like lunar-like landscapes. And I think I may be lying with the statistic, but like 60% of the world's observatories are in the Atacama Desert, because these are literally the clearest skies in the world. So for you as a photographer, night photography in Atacama is insane. Wow. It is. You've never seen the stars and the Milky Way that clear, that part.
I'm not putting you on. I don't know why anybody want to go anywhere else from the pictures I've seen on here. I mean, it's just extraordinary in the diversity as well. What are some things we may have missed that I haven't touched on or asked you about on what you guys do and how you do it?
Well, one of the things that makes us unique in all of our destinations is just the way we sort of also give back. Sustainability. It used to be that it was optional on the agenda of travel companies. Today, I think it's an absolute must. You need to we say it's like paying rent for the world we live in, and we need to be very responsible for it. We're fortunate that, we have places like Galapagos and Patagonia that are extremely beautiful and that we can take people there. But we don't want to consider it as something that it's like free for us to sort of like abuse or expose, without any retribution. So we have many programs going on in both destinations, whether it's through reforestation, support of the communities, wildlife conservation projects, elimination of introduced species, you name it. Depending on the destination, we'll focus the program based on, the most pressing needs of the destination. And really, that's kind of like the type of travel we offer. And Quasar guests, they actually feel good because their dollars go a longer way than with most companies in these destinations.
There you go. Well, what are some of the biggest challenges you guys run into in organizing and executing these expeditions? It's kind of remote. There's environmentally sensitive. What do you guys find are the biggest challenges you overcome and delivering, these unique experiences for people?
Yeah. So I would say the first one is remoteness. It's just difficult, to get anything there, whether it's spare parts for a ship, whether it's, food for the cruise in Patagonia, you name it. There's no cell phone connection in the park. So it's satellite phone and satellite internet. So remoteness plays a big factor in the complication of the operation. But I would also say that remoteness is really what makes these places unique. We do offer Wi-Fi on board, but it's not available all the time on purpose, right? And we do this on purpose because when people really are able to disconnect, that's when they get to really connect with nature, with themselves, like conversations over meals, the things that they forgot how to do because of being connected with the technology all the time. It really helps. So we love that part about these adventures. Families, when they come with us, especially, they love the fact that their kids are not glued to screens. They're chasing sea lions and snorkeling and hiking and then just sleeping from a day of activity and adventure. So it's a plus, on one side, and of course for us, it's operationally it's an obstacle, but one that we would take on any day, for how gratifying it is for the guest.
It is so important to be present. It is good to get away from the screens and turn the internet off. It'll still be there back, folks, when you turn it back on. It'll still be there. Trust me. You'll be fine. But you're experiencing such a beautiful place, an extraordinary place, and it's so good to get away from the FOMO and the knee-jerk reaction of being a slave to those devices. It's great for kids, of course, because they need to see the world. They need to get out behind these screens. You can't experience the world, and metaphysically, our brains aren't designed to look at the world through 2D. We're designed to experience it in first person and 3D actually, and tactile wise as well. We process so much information through our brains when we experience the world that way, as opposed to just looking at a 2D screen. Our brains really haven't adapted to it, really, which is why we, had trouble with blue light and everything else. You mentioned snorkeling, hiking. What are some other activities people can do there? Yep.
So in a given cruise, every day you'll have a soft hike or walk in the morning, and probably one in the afternoon, as well as an opportunity to go snorkeling and also zodiac rides around mangroves or the shorelines there of around the different islands. We also offer sit on top kayaks and paddle boards. So in a given week, you can expect to do, walks and hikes, snorkeling, zodiac rides, kayak, and stand-up paddle boarding. And so these are active cruises. People are doing stuff all the time. We joke about this, but our bar consumption on these cruises, it's terrible, Chris. Like people, they check out early because they've been active so long. They have dinner and, maybe they can get a drink or two, but nobody's abusing the bar like in cruises, how people are used to. It's very different.
There you go. Yeah, you're all worn out. You're like, I need to get some sleep because we got stuff to do tomorrow. It sounds amazing. What about the wildlife? Why is that different than anywhere else in the world in the Galapagos?
Yeah, I think that is the main highlight of the destination. And let me give you just an example. So there, the animals that ended up in Galapagos, the birds flew in, and the wildlife that doesn't fly or swim, it basically floated there. So the iguanas, the marine iguanas in Galapagos, probably floated on a log or grasp it, whatever it is. It floated from the mainland to Galapagos. And they are the relatives of the green iguana that lives there in the coast of Ecuador. When they arrived to these volcanic islands and they had no vegetation to eat, they quickly learned that the only thing they could eat was the sea algae that was, there in the shore. But it wasn't abundant enough, or in some periods it would dry out, and the only one available is the one under the water. So they had to learn to swim and dive like fish in order to survive.
Wow.
And because these are reptiles and they're cold-blooded, the ones with the darker skin color would do better because they would get warmer faster after going in the water. And so now these iguanas turn black. Evolution turned them black. Their tails flattened because they now use them for propulsion in the water. Their nails grew really big because they need to cling on the rocks as they feed on the algae. And they learned to slow down their heart rate to a point where it's like 1 beat per minute, where they're almost dead as they feed for hours underwater. So
that's what I do at McDonald's.
Exactly the same thing. So it's, Chris, like, it's these animals where it's undeniable that evolution happened. You see evolution at work, and when you see them and you see what their relatives look like in the mainland, it's insane. And like the iguanas, you have many other animals that adapted, and they're now endemic, which means they only exist in the Galapagos, and they're so different from what we're used to seeing. And that's a highlight of the trip for sure.
That is wild. That is wild, man. It just looks so beautiful on the pictures and stuff. Why should people have this on their travel bucket list? Why is this a must see? And where would you put on the list of must see things in the world?
Yeah, if you like nature, if you like the outdoors, if you like wildlife, it should be at the very top of your list. Jacques Cousteau, the famous oceanographer and explorer, said that the last two wildlife sanctuaries left on Earth were Antarctica and Galapagos.
Oh, really?
With the main difference that in Antarctica, you have like 4 or 5 species that live above the ice that you can see. In Galapagos, you literally have hundreds. And so being able to see wildlife in this state is something that is something that people have to see once in their lives. Like, how was wildlife before humans invaded their space? How was wildlife when animals ruled the world? And that is the Galapagos. And what you get to see and experience there, we call them life-changing wildlife encounters. They really change you. They change your perspective on the natural world. Our guests leave from our trips becoming ambassadors of the Galapagos, conservationists, really caring a lot more for the planet, for our world, and being a lot more aware of what we humans are doing to the natural world. And so I would say, for anybody who loves adventure, who loves wildlife and the outdoors, put Galapagos at the very top of your list. You won't regret it.
There you go. It sounds like the pristine nature that has been there, and the protection and conservationism have made it something that has sustained itself. If you go to Florida, you're in a whole different world. If you go to Orlando, everything's stepped on.
Exactly. And in Galapagos, you have these very clearly defined trails that you can walk, or you can't even exit. And this is a fantastic thing that the Galapagos National Park guides do. One great thing is, that Quasar has these amazing guys that have worked with us for 15 plus years, but they are not employees of Quasar. They're employees of the Galapagos National Park, and their number one responsibility is to protect the park. And so these are ambassadors showing you their islands, and they make sure to take care of them, that tourists follow the guidelines, that they don't touch the wildlife. And that is why, at least the first time I went there was 36 years ago. And till today, wildlife is the same, unafraid of humans. And it's largely the job of the guides.
There you go. And is it true that Charles Darwin did some of his journey or research through there?
Yeah, so Charles Darwin theory of evolution, he largely attributes it to his week in the Galapagos. It is the Galapagos Islands were the most influential of all his visits during the voyage of the Beagle to formulating his theory of evolution. And so, he only spent about 2 weeks there, but it literally changed his perception. And he, as I said, the example of the iguana, which he also saw on the coast of Ecuador or Peru on his voyage of the Beagle, and then he saw how it had changed. Like, it's undeniable to see evolution work, and he, as a man of science, noticed that, and very much ahead of his time, but in the 1600s knew the importance of this, and that's how he formulated that theory. Sorry, in the 1800s.
Wow. This is historic and just an amazing thing. So give us your final pitch out and thoughts to the audience on getting on your guys' website and getting signed up with you guys and learning more.
Yeah. So, for anybody looking for transformational travel, and I know this term has sort of been thrown around a lot, but we would like to think that in 1986, we were one of the pioneers of these transformational experiences. If you think about it, complicating their lives so much, my two parents, to try to show people a place at Galapagos, like, it was an operational nightmare for sure, but they knew how special these places were, and they knew that through tourism, we could protect these places. So if you love adventure, if you love the outdoors, if you really want to be transformed, give us a call. Go on our website, look at what we have to offer in Patagonia, look at what we have to offer in Galapagos, and talk to one of our expedition designers. They will be able to design a trip that perfectly fits your style of travel, your needs, your budget, and really getting you to see these destinations that are rare in this world today, and some of them are disappearing. Thankfully, Galapagos and Patagonia at least are quite well protected, but they're less and less every year.
Definitely. It's just, and you want to see them before, I don't know, there's all sorts of pollution and climate change and things going on right now. Go see them before while you still can. And it just looks like such a rich experience. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, Fernando.
Oh, you're welcome, Chris. It's great talking to you.
There you go. And give us the .com one more time as we go out.
Yep. It's QuasarEx.com. And we actually have some great specials for 2024. Be sure to check out our specials page if you want to go to Galapagos and Patagonia. So yeah, QuasarEx.com.
There you go. And thanks to my audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, and all those great places on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.